Blanchard. You're about to meet a very special person, Barbara Glanz. I don't know many speakers, I don't think anybody even on record has talked in all 50 states and 7 continents. I was trying to see if I had done that. I don't think so. So she's an amazing person. She has clients all over the world. She even wowed the Singapore security police. How's that? And Barbara and I got a chance to work on a book together around Johnny the Bagger, her really signature story. And you know, that book with also a DVD has, 5 million people have been impacted by Johnny the Bagger and the whole concept of really taking care of customers. And I don't know of anybody who cares more about people and her audiences and everybody she works with than Barbara Glanz. So you're in for a great treat. Sit back and relax and enjoy one of my very favorite people, Barbara Glanz.
I was asked 5 years ago to speak to 3,000 employees of a large grocery store chain, and they brought everybody. After I'd spoken, I always give my home phone number to every audience. I had a young man who called me, and he told me his name was Johnny, that he was a bagger in one of the stores, and he was a person of Down syndrome. He said, "Barbara, I liked what you said." And he said he went home that night and he asked his dad to help him with the computer. And he said we set the computer up into 3 columns. And he said from that night on, every night that he goes home, he finds a thought for the day. And he said, if I can't find one I like, I think one up. Then he and his dad type it 6 times on a page. He prints out 50 pages every single night, cuts them out, signs his name on the back, and the next day, for every person's groceries he bags, he puts a thought for the day in the bag. Now, about a month later, the store manager called me. He said, "Barbara, I want to tell you what happened this morning." He said, "When I went out on the floor about 9:30 this morning, the line at Johnny's checkout was 3 times longer than any other line." He said, "I went ballistic. I was yelling, 'Get more people out there, get more lanes open.'" And he said, the customer said, no, we want to be in Johnny's lane. We want the thought for the day." So who do you think is the most important person in that whole store? He said, one woman came up and said, "I only used to shop once a week, but now I come in every time I go by because I want the thought for the day." He said 3 months later, the store manager called me back again, and he said, "Barbara, you and Johnny have transformed our store." He said, "Now in the floral department, when they have a broken off flower or an unused corsage, we used to just throw them away. He said, now they go out on the floor and they find an elderly woman or a little girl, and they pin it on them." He said, "One of our meat packers loves Snoopy, so we ordered 50,000 Snoopy stickers, and every time he packages a piece of meat, his meat gets a Snoopy sticker on it." Now, I said, "I don't know about dog stickers on meat." But he said, "We are having so much fun, and our customers are having so much fun." And folks, that's a true leader. And if he can do it, there is no reason why every one of us in this room and out there in our audiences can't do it. Thank you. God bless. I have been sharing Johnny's story ever since he called me. And it doesn't matter whether I speak on regenerating spirit in the workplace, on customer service, on motivating and retaining employees, even on balance, because the story is so universal. You know, it's just about how one person with what we would say is kind of an unimportant job, a frontline job, turned a whole organization upside down. And the hope that gives to everybody who hears that story, it doesn't matter whether it's senior level executives or it's other frontline folks. And so whether it's the Department of Corrections or the IRS or the Singapore Police or a healthcare organization, Kaiser Permanente is one of my clients and done all kinds of work with them. It doesn't matter. We are all human beings. And I think this story of Johnny touches people at a level where people think, wow, I could do that. You know, if Johnny can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it. In fact, organizations that I've spoken to 2 and 3 times will always say, don't forget to tell the Johnny story, and they may have heard it several times before, but they want to hear it again. So I think it just gives everybody a real sense of hope and warmth and happiness, and we need more of that in our world today. Question number 1. What percentage of American workers do you think are giving their very best to their jobs? Any thoughts? I'm hearing lots of numbers out there. 12 to 15%. 12 to 15%. Isn't that sad, folks? We've got 7 to 8% who are burned out. Hope that's nobody in the room, have no life. But that leaves 75 to 80% of our American workforce just doing enough to get by. Now, I call those people slot fillers. They come in, they do their job, they go out the door the minute their shift is up. They're our target audience. How can we inspire those folks to say, I make a difference? I can make a difference every single day. Second statistic. What percentage of American workers told us that last year they got no appreciation at all for the good work they had done? No appreciation. Actually, I thought it would be higher, but 65% got no appreciation. And why would you keep giving your best? Some of us have a work ethic that we do it because it's the right thing to do. But an awfully lot of young people don't have that same work ethic. And so if I'm killing myself day after day after day to make a difference and nobody notices, after a while, a lot of people are just going to give up. A person-to-person connection with customers is critical if you want to create customer loyalty. People are so tired of being considered numbers that they need someone to see them as a living, breathing human being with a story. And so as you make those connections, they feel like they're of value and important, and someone sees them as a person. And that makes them want to come back to your place of business again. Do you know the joy, the passion of each of your associates? Do you know the joy, the passion? See, if you don't, write that down. Because I want you to find out, each of those persons in your stores, what is it that they love? What is it that they do in their free time? What is it that makes them light up when they talk about it? Is it their motorcycle, their kids, their dog, a hobby that they have? Because again, we're all looking for that human level connection. And you're asking them to make that of your customers. And so you need to have that with them. And so do your store managers. So find out what their passion is. I want to tell you a quick story. Before I moved to Florida 3 years ago, I lived in the Chicago area and spent a lot of time in O'Hare Airport because I travel almost every week. One real cold, snowy February morning, I walked into the women's washroom, and there was a person there who was cleaning. And she was all hunched over and just kind of going through the motions. So I walked up to her and I touched her on the arm and I looked her right in the eyes and I said, "Thank you so much for keeping this washroom clean. You're really making a difference for all of us who travel." She perked up. She started cleaning like this. By the time I got ready to go, folks, she was handing towels out to all the women who were washing their hands. And I left with tears in my eyes because that cost me nothing. But what did I tell her in that one statement? Yeah, she counted for something. She was of value. And my belief is every time we make what I call a human level connection, where we say to somebody, "I see you." I see you as a human being. We give them a very precious gift. Because I think there are so many lonely, hurting people in this world today. Do you agree with that? Because of my master's degree in adult education, I have the expertise to design a program that really does cause behavior change. And to do this, I use what I call the MSA formula. I use models for understanding, stories for remembering, and action ideas for implementation. And what I want to say to all of you is you are all so much more than a job description or a job title. So what I want you to think about is, if you think about what is your work, how is what you do, each one of you, how is what you do every day making somebody's life better? That's your work. And you see, I don't care if you clean the toilets or you run the whole company. You can find a way that your work makes somebody's life better. And that gives a purpose and a passion and a mission to what you do every day. So it's not like you're just going to do a job. You are in jobs where you're interacting with people all the time. And so whenever you can create that kind of human level connection and do something with your work that makes somebody's life better, and that's what your work is. That's what's important about every day. Whenever I work with an audience, I have 3 guarantees. Number 1, I want to whack their thinking, and I want them to leave looking at things a little bit differently than they did when they came in. Number 2, I want to give people a real personal sense of mission that they can make a difference. It doesn't matter how much change is going on around them, what their boss is doing, what their coworkers are doing. I want them to understand that they have a choice in every interaction that they have. And number 3, I want to get their creative juices going. And I want them to leave with at least 6 to 8 immediately applicable action ideas. From now on, every time you go to a meeting, and it can be, by the way, a meeting in your community or your church or your school or any place, but every time you go to a meeting, ask if you can start that meeting with 3 minutes of good news. 3 minutes of good news. And just ask anybody in the meeting, anything good that's happened in their family, in their community, on the job, anything good in the world. Because what are most of your meetings about? What's going right or what's going wrong? Yeah. So you see, if you start all these meetings with what's going right, good news, it will change the whole feeling in your workplace. I guarantee that. I have clients all over the world now who are starting every meeting they have with 3 minutes of good news. Now, what do you think they're telling me about their meetings? What would you guess? They're much more positive. They're more productive. People are coming on time because they don't want to miss the 3 minutes of good news. What do you think they're telling me is the hardest thing they have to do? Stop it at 3 minutes. Exactly. Because once we start focusing on what's going right, it really changes everything. How many of you are willing to give that a shot? This is the most important thing I'm going to share with you. I told you earlier, I'm a hands-on person. I created this little 3-column chart for myself about 9 or 10 years ago because I wanted to be able to see and measure the difference I could make every day. And this is true of every person in this room. It basically says every interaction that you have with anyone, you have a choice. You can create for that other person a minus, a 0, or a plus. If you discount them, make them feel less important than SCE or yourself, they're going to leave with a minus. If you just take care of their business, and see, that's your slot fillers, it doesn't count to build any kind of loyalty. But every time you make a human level connection, and it doesn't have to be big things, people. It can be using their name. It can be asking them a question about something other than the business. It can be listening with empathy. Anytime you make that human level connection, they are going to leave feeling a little bit better because they interacted with you. And that's the choice that you have with every single interaction. Now, you can be good at your job, be a transaction giver. That's your slot fillers, taking care of the business, or you can be a relationship builder, and that's what all of you in this room are. But how that needs to be transferred out to everybody in the organization.
Barbara Glanz is a certified speaking professional who works with organizations to improve morale, retention, and service, and with people who want to rediscover the joy in their work and their lives. It's especially important to book a speaker that not only captivates and motivates your audiences, but also educates them. Barbara Glanz is recognized as the employee motivation and retention expert. She's the author of 11 best-selling books, including The Simple Truths of Service, inspired by Johnny the Bagger, co-authored with Ken Blanchard. The touching Johnny the Bagger video has circulated over the internet and has been seen by millions of people worldwide. With a master's degree in adult learning, Barbara has diligently researched hundreds of no-cost practical ideas to help leaders create and maintain a joyful work environment.
Now, spreading contagious enthusiasm, that's what our guest this morning does for a living.
And she is an internationally renowned motivational speaker and author. Barbara Glanz has traveled to almost all parts of the world.
Sought by the media from countries around the world, Barbara helps her audiences understand the choices they have to make a difference in the world. The only speaker on record to have spoken on 7 continents and in all 50 states, Barbara is truly the embodiment of her personal motto, spreading contagious enthusiasm.
Would you close your eyes for a moment? And I want to end with a thought from a dear, dear friend of mine, Og Mandino. This is his rule number 10 for a better way to live. He says this: beginning today, treat everyone you meet, loved one or stranger, friend or foe, as if they were going to be dead at midnight. Extend to each person you meet, no matter how trivial the contact, all the care and the kindness and the understanding and the love that you can muster. And do so with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. And folks, I hope that you've gotten some things today, that your lives will never be the same again.
Barbara Glanz, spreading contagious enthusiasm. One organization and one person at a time. To book Barbara Glanz for your organization, please contact the provider of this video.